The following program is rated TV MAL. It contains strong language and is intended only for mature audiences.
What's up, everybody? Hey, how you doing? What's going on? It's finally Friday. I'm your host, the Appalachian. I forgot my name for a second. Anyway, hey, we're off to a great start, aren't we? Joining me as always is my homeboy, Tommy Gunn.
What's up, everybody? I hope you're having a good Friday. It's not Good Friday, but it should be a good Friday.
Joining us from all the way down under, the author, David Applegate.
G'day, friends, fans, and other cool units.
Joining us,
I'm a book.
the all-seeing eye, prime mover.
Hello, everybody.
Hi, CBS.
Yeah, CBS is watching you. Big Brother has you
We have
all to himself. So what's up? What y'all up to? How y'all doing? How you doing?
All right. How about you, Prime?
I'm about to start building a boat if it rains anymore.
exactly.
Dude, right? I'm so tired of the rain.
It's supposed to last another week.
Shut up.
Look it up.
We're gonna need a DSRV to get out of this water.
But we'll
Dude,
still be in a drought.
I want
That's
the
the thing.
deal. I want the Thornberry's Convy, man. They got like flotation devices, man. I think it could go anywhere.
Speaking about flotation devices, how about that deep submersible that went down this past week?
I think I
They
shared
couldn't
with
use
you
some?
the funniest meme I've seen about it.
Yeah.
I couldn't breathe. Oh,
I can't
yeah, that's
breathe.
right. I did. Yeah.
Well, I heard that there was going to be a national theme song, and it was going to be sung by the group Air Supply.
Oh,
God.
Boom.
Jeez Louise.
Too soon?
That sound they heard.
a little.
The U.S. Navy came out and admitted that they were listening to Under the Sea and didn't realize what was going on
Under
until
the
2 days
sea.
later.
Under the sea. Yeah,
Jeez.
we're talking about a real difficult situation like that, and all we can come up with is some Disney song to sing. Under the sea.
I feel bad for him though, for real.
Yeah.
Well,
I mean, that does suck.
imagine being the son, thinking that it's a troll job, and then you go on OnlyFans and everybody recognizes you on OnlyFans from the news, and they're telling you your dad's under the sea dying.
Ah.
And like, it took him 30 minutes to wake up and go, wait, this isn't a troll job.
But I
They know
mean,
my
dude,
name.
for real though, like, would you rather go without oxygen or would you rather just be imploded?
imploded.
Imploded.
Imploded, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, 'cause
within a
that
millisecond,
sucks.
you're done.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2 tons
no
of water
suffering.
doesn't stop.
No
for
fear
nothing.
of death. It's just gone.
They were probably mid-sentence like, hey, so we're getting...
What's that
Yeah.
popping?
Pop.
What's that
I mean, I
popping?
hope, honestly, I hate to relish in somebody's like passing, but I hope that it was nothing like crazy. I hope there was really no warning.
I hope it wasn't like Dust Boat where they're sitting there for days, counting down the time,
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that they didn't see the crack and they start going, oh, God, we got to go up. And so they started going up, and that's when it fully cracked.
Yeah.
I don't think they saw the crack because they're saying that the fiberglass it was carbon.
Carbon
Let's
fiber.
not call it carbon fiber. It was a combination of materials, which included fiberglass, was outside a titanium shell. By the time they would have noticed that the craft was cracking, the outer shell was already gone, right?
my question is, do you think it's the lack of, because I know the guy says he didn't want old, rich, white guys building this.
No.
He wanted innovation. Do you think
He
it's because
said he didn't want unimaginative 50-year-old white guys building it.
Do you think because he didn't get
Engineers?
engineers that usually build, it was just inexperience, or you just think it was just a freak accident?
No, they're saying incompetence. They're saying that they chose the wrong materials for the outer shell.
I know the guy that created the controller that he was using came out. He was on TikTok. He straight up said that was not meant for a submarine. That was barely meant for a game. It's a low budget gaming controller.
Yeah, but realistically, like, I don't understand what the big deal is about a gaming controller. So what? I mean, it has the functions to maneuver.
Yes, but
they're saying it doesn't have the reliability in a complex device.
But on the box, it even says can lose Bluetooth connection very easily.
Oh, so it was like a Bluetooth, not like a wired up.
Right, and that's the thing that some guy was saying that he was doing. It's a webcast called Sub Brief, and he was talking about do you need to have like a backup controller, or do you bring in a set of new batteries every time you dive? He was actually talking about you didn't want a wireless or Bluetooth connection. You wanted a wired connection.
Right. See, I didn't know that it was Bluetooth. I thought that we were just dealing with a
corded,
a wired up controller. And I'm thinking, like, I mean, so what? Like, I don't understand what the big deal was. But
no, if it was wired and they used high conductivity, high connectivity, it would have been fine. It would have passed. But controllers like that, they can't be plug and play. They have to be designed specifically for the device. They have to be wired to the device. And if they need to unplug it, it needs some sort of, where you unscrew it first. Needs some sort of locking device.
It's a very cheap controller at that. Like, you can actually go to like Goodwill and find those controllers.
There's one at Game Junkies for sale right now.
How much?
$2,500.
Really?
Yeah, because he knows what he says, quote unquote. I know what I have. But he really does have one because I recognize the store.
But you can. But there is controllers. But it didn't cause it. That is true.
It didn't cause it. But the thing that people are talking about is the fact that they lost control of the sub. So the sub essentially was just chilling in the bottom of the ocean or wherever it was.
Yeah, they're too deep.
There's a lot of speculation. They don't know if it had touched the bottom and then started coming back up, or was it on its descent. They don't know that. They just heard the U.S. Navy through some of their listening things. They just heard a large seismic event that would have denoted implosion. Now, when I was in the Navy, I spent some time with the premier deep salvage and rescue unit that was in the Navy. It's called the Deep Submergence Unit, and we had
directly up there.
We had 3 deep submersibles that we could launch that were manned, and then 2 of them that were unmanned, which were robotic ones. And the deepest diving one was 20,000 feet. Of course, that's what it was certified to, and that was the unmanned vehicles. There was also a manned vehicle that could hit 20,000 feet, and that was called the Sea Cliff, the DSV 3 Sea Cliff. I'm sorry, DSV 4 Sea Cliff, and then the DSV Turtle, which was 10K capable. And what happens here, once you get down to depth, it starts to work on the steel that it's made by, that it's fabricated by. And they talked about certifications. Certifications were our bread and butter with other units, but you could have to certify a unit, a deep diving salvage unit, for maybe 3 to 5 months. And that's what this guy didn't do. He didn't want any certification.
And he didn't. He didn't undergo any renewals. He didn't undergo any post surface tests. Like after each dive, they just put the thing away. They didn't test anything. This guy's got a long list of broken rules right now. That if he was alive, he'd be in worse trouble than the captain of the Titanic.
Well, they did pay for the Titanic experience.
Yes,
they got it. Actually, no, they didn't get it.
The scorecard: Titanic 2, Rich Guy 0.
Oh, ho, ho. Ew.
Speaking of all that, give us a call if you'd like to. 540-356-3679. Number that's scrolling across the bottom of our screen. You can call in and talk to us.
And any of my deep submergence buddies, if you're out there listening to this, call in and give your 2 cents. It'd be great.
Yeah.
Especially if you're one of the 3 guys who just recently came back from the bottom and said there's nothing to salvage. They talked about, they showed the photo. They're like chunks.
Yeah.
The submarine's in small pieces.
Someone said, why? Well, they can't get out because the door screws from the inside. I mean, from the outside. And I'm sitting there thinking, if a person tried to go outside of that thing, with it being that far down, they would die instantly once they open the door anyways. Like,
well, that's what causes the pop. Even a millimeter fracture would make a loud pop that's picked up seismically, because the water rushing in is just like instant.
I'll put it this way. Maybe, this could help folks, anybody out there, that wrap your brain around how the pressure would be on a vehicle. We would take regular styrofoam cups, like coffee cups, and we draw all sorts of things on there. We draw, maybe sign our name, or we, draw some arrow going down or something like that. And then you'd put the depth of where the submersible was going. And we put all these coffee cups, each person would do one. And we put them inside of a net bag that would be outside of the vehicle. Then we dive the vehicle down to whatever depth, 5,000, 10,000. I never was on a 20,000 foot dive, but we'd bring them back, and the size of the coffee cup would look like a thimble.
Oh, wow.
That's how small it would crush
you take a latte glass and it comes back as an espresso mini.
Exactly. If it didn't break, of course. But
what type of material are you talking about?
Styrofoam.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was styrofoam.
I didn't hear that part.
Sorry about that. If I didn't.
No, I just didn't know if you said it. Maybe I just didn't catch it. But
I think he said it at the beginning. He said,
okay.
But it was really neat because you could make as many as you wanted, and you could use these as like gifts for people, or just a memento of your time there. And I have about 2 or 3 of these that I had, and it was the coolest thing because it would shrink it down to the size of about a thimble. And definitely some of the larger styrofoam glasses or cups, you could bring them down to like a shot glass. They would definitely be the size of a shot glass.
They're basically saying, if you're a person, it's like having a semi-trailer dropped on your head.
Exactly. All the semi-trailers that you could imagine. There's like 500, and I'm trying to remember, it was 500 to 1,000 times the pressure of regular Earth that you're above sea level, bearing down on you the deeper you go.
Now, I got a curiosity there, and I'm curious about it. So a lot has happened this week. Do you think the news focused on this because they didn't want to focus on the other stuff?
Thank you. I was wondering about that.
Ta-da!
I was wondering big time about that. What are we missing?
Well, if the U.S. Navy picked up a large audible event, that would have made the Daily Brief 2 days ago, right? Or 3 days ago. So there's no doubt that 3 days ago, it's no coincidence that it's within hours of the event happening, a certain person said, you know what? everybody, I'm guilty.
Yeah. Well, not only that, they lost they find $8 billion and send it to Ukraine or something like that?
6.3.
6.3. That happened during it. It seems like they tried to rush and get everything through the door at this window.
Plus, some of the images coming out of Ukraine are not very encouraging if you're pro-Ukrainian right now.
So, when we're talking about pressure, my mom said that her boss did the calculations of the pressure, and a half a sheet of paper, 8 by 11, pounds per square inch is over 24,000. Now, if you think about it, what does 24,000 pounds look like? Right here. This is what 24,000 pounds look like. A Freightliner.
There you go.
On one square inch.
That's on your head.
Mm-hmm.
Catastrophic.
Yeah,
And that's
it's
not
immense
moving.
pressure. It's immense pressure.
Yeah.
The school
And
bus.
for these people are like, oh, why didn't you just open the door or the hatch and get out? No.
Yeah.
You possibly, if it had a hatch, you could probably get out at about 60 feet, maybe 30, 60 feet.
What did they say? Like 60, 90, you can't even open it. What you could open at 60, you can't open at 90.
Right, exactly, because it just sits, and I don't know if it's exponential all the way down, but
It reaches critical mass, I think, at 20,000, where it doesn't increase after that.
Right.
So do you think then they're going to try to put laws now to go towards people wanting to go to space?
They have.
People wanting to
They
build
already have.
submarines.
No, they're saying
Guess what, motherfucker?
They already have these laws. You're not allowed to be on Antarctica.
Oh, I know that.
But
No,
I'm just saying, like, they have these stupid things. They're already talking about making it illegal to go see the Titanic.
There's already a law. It's called the shipwreck law. You're not allowed to go into certain shipwrecks already. The Titanic
Really? I
was
didn't know
one of
that.
those restricted areas.
Well, for the safety of the people is what they're saying.
Yeah, but he used a loophole in the law, is that the Titanic lies in international waters.
Right. So he wasn't governed by any body, like the Coast Guard or anything, U.S. Coast Guard.
And the U.S. and the UN already have agreements, but they're not in stone where the U.S. Coast Guard can go out and stop them because it's outside U.S. jurisdiction. This is just an excuse to bring in an international body to basically say America is now the world police.
Yeah. Hey, you guys out there, don't forget to hit that like button, comment. I know my mom's doing that both on YouTube and Facebook. But Rumble, we're there, and only one person's watching. I think that's me. But
no. It says here at my end 5.
Oh, I've got 1.
See, I think that's the problem with Rumble. There's too many servers.
Yep. Anyway,
if you're on a different server, you get a different view account, which is probably why you can't see my comments. So, can you see my comments?
On what?
Can you see my comment on Rumble?
I just saw that one.
Oh.
He said, hi, everyone. Hello, Rumble. If you guys want to, call in 540-356-3679. We're live. The phones are hot.
While we're waiting for a phone call, I got to ask, and I want to know everybody's opinion, who's going to win. If Elon Musk...
Tommy, wait.
Tommy, hold it, Tommy.
Oh,
that's a topic, dude.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Anyway, we got a word from our sponsor, Clown World Review. Not Clown World Reviews, but Clown World in general. This is the things that happen in our day-to-day life. Oh, smacky. And freight train.
Hey, I just want to make sure that you're not hitting me, okay?
Right. Speaking of a different subtopic. Now, this one's a little gross, so bear with me. But do you guys like Subway?
Yes.
Have you heard about Subway's sandwich that was a complete disaster?
Was it the
No.
tuna sandwich?
No. It was an Easter sandwich. Apparently it was only available in the UK, which is good. I'm just seeing this for the first time. Do you guys like Cadbury eggs?
I've never had them.
They're too sweet. They're diabetes in a can.
Subway has a Cadbury egg sandwich.
Ugh.
Oh my gross.
What in the world? Cadbury
Cadbury
partnered
used to
with
be
Subway
premium.
UK and Ireland to prepare to give 500 sub melts made by smashing Cadbury cream eggs on Subway's own Italian white bread.
Oh.
That's molar
If you
cavity
don't have
right there.
diabetes, you soon will.
Oh, that's so gross.
Now, if it was real eggs, I would understand because the original Easter for about, I don't know what, for about 150 years, that it was real eggs.
Barf.
Chocolate is
Oh, it made
what?
my stomach turn.
Chocolate eggs is only the last few, 17th century onwards?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you guys heard of a YouTube channel called Normal World?
No.
No.
All right, so it is Dave Landau and Quarter Black Garrett.
Oh, cool.
They have a YouTube channel. They do a daily show. I think it's at 10 p.m. And they are on Blaze TV, but you get the first like 45 minutes of it on YouTube. If that doesn't sound like a ripoff of something else, we all know.
Mm-hmm. Is it a
Is it
daily
popular?
or is it like a weekly?
It's a daily.
Oh, it is.
Because there's
Actually, didn't Levin start it? I thought Levin was the first one to do it.
I don't know, but I'm talking about Crowder.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's
I know
all,
who you're
I'm
talking
pretty
about
sure it's
because-
all ex-Crowder employees.
Yeah, that's what I think too.
So it's Dave Landau and all them. They're the one that I saw that they were talking about this, the sandwich. But man, Dave Landau was like, can you just imagine somebody rolling up in their Rascal? He's like, because nobody's walking in to get this. It's all going to be somebody in a handicap chair.
Yeah.
And they're probably going to douse it in ranch. Ugh.
Oh.
That's disgusting.
Can I ask you something though? Subway got a lot of people telling you can eat a whole loaf of bread and lose weight.
Right.
That's the thing that got me. I'm like, wait, you're eating like basically a whole loaf right there, and they're saying that can make you lose weight.
Yep. That's disgusting.
Yes.
Here's the problem.
That's
Subway never backed up any of their claims. And when people started asking too many questions, that's when the whole Jared thing exploded.
Well,
right.
Here's the thing. There's a podcast I listen to called Lights Out, and it's usually like crime or paranormal kind of show. And they have one about Jared. And it gets really, really dark. More dark than the news lets you hear.
Yeah, like the fact the company was receiving complaints for over 2 years.
The fact that his right-hand man was putting cameras in his own house for him to watch.
But you know who also got recently done?
Who?
The CNN producer. For the same thing.
Oh, you mean the state? Which one? What about the state rep? Because all these Democrat people are getting.
In the last week.
For...
Yeah, 19 in the last week, and not one of them made a headline. Why? Under the sea.
Yeah.
Under the sea. Hey, Hunter,
Yeah.
we need something to take a story off Hunter. Wonder what happens
exactly.
if we remove this bolt.
Right. Well, I mean, there was something I saw earlier today. Oh yeah. The nation's first ever Transgender state representative arrested on child P charges.
What about the one yesterday in Washington where the body was found and with 4 kids locked in a room?
Yeah, dude, what was the deal? I sent that to you, I think, on Instagram, didn't I?
Yeah.
I do got to ask though, because
I thought at first it was a deep fake put together because it was a pretty poorly chopped together story, right?
Yeah.
But then it's censored. You actually see the news channel go from high quality to extremely poor quality with whole sections cut out.
Yeah.
Now, this was a activist. They had died of a drug overdose, and the identities and the family origins of these 4 children, they're undocumented.
So I do got to ask, because Prime
stepped away, he said BRB.
I want to make sure I remind us, since he's had experience, no one ever asked if he actually got to see an implosion.
Yeah, there's something got posted on Instagram the other day about what an implosion actually looks like.
Like, I've seen the tanker trucks. I've actually seen it where they've imploded.
I actually saw one the other day where they where the media showed you this is just a oxygen bottle. What happens, and the bottle sinking down and just goes crush and then poof. Yeah. It's like less than a second. You can look them up. They're not pleasant because it instantly invokes, holy cow. If you're a meat bag, that's all red.
I know that even when you record something, you're only getting you're not really getting the sound of actually being there.
That's true.
So I'm curious how loud that actually was.
Well, it was loud enough to be picked up in Newfoundland by sonar.
And they said that from what I was reading the article, it said that the Navy found out that Sunday they heard the implosion.
They heard it, yeah. They heard it.
So if they heard the implosion, what was the tapping sound they played on the news?
That was the remains of the submarine bumping up against the Titanic. That was the engine of the submarine bouncing around on the decks of the Titanic. Sorry. It's caught up in the netting. It was over the Titanic when it broke up.
Yeah.
And most of it scattered around the Titanic. But there's something in the net. The net, the Titanic's covered in this fishing net that broke loose a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And it's got parts of the sub going boink, boink, boink as it's moving around in the... because that's the problem. See, for submersibles to find the Titanic, normally what they have is they send down a robot to find it, right?
Yeah. And
then they follow that signal. And what they have is another signal behind it so that if anything happens to the sub, most of these subs are on umbilical cords, right?
Right.
And if anything happens to it, they pull it up. But Ocean did not have an umbilical cord to the surface. They went free diving.
Golly. That's ridiculous.
Free diving, yeah.
So I'm curious, though. Did they say it's an indefinite that it imploded?
Yeah, they're showing images of debris on the bottom.
So I was just curious because I didn't see the images of the debris. So I was just curious if it did implode, or they're just saying that to make the search stop. I didn't know.
No, they sent down a deep submergence to confirm that it was imploded. And they're saying that it probably happened 2 days ago. The sound we heard was the debris bouncing against the hull of the Titanic.
Holy crap.
A couple of companies have come out and done actual
Oh, I've seen this video. It just literally like metal to metal.
Yeah.
Gosh. That's crazy.
There's no way you could survive that.
Yeah. The captain of the Coast Guard has declared them dead.
Oh,
And
yeah, dude.
They were wondering why the Titanic didn't implode. Someone was writing about that. Well, the Titanic didn't implode. And I was like, the Titanic wasn't airtight.
No, it's full of water.
Yeah,
which
it
slows down.
Half.
It is shrinking, but it's slowed down by the fact that it's full of water.
Yeah.
If it wasn't full of water, it would have been crushed because the air doesn't offer as much resistance. But the Titanic is 3/4 of the size it used to be, and it's going to shrink to like 1/4 of its size and have nothing inside it, right? All that empty space is slowly being replaced.
I still think it was meant to distract people.
Oh, absolutely. They made a big deal. They could have run this story once, and because it's not a popular story. It's only trending because of the memes.
Yeah.
And actually, it's more the outrage over the memes than it is the story. I mean,
yeah, we're definitely missing something. Something is going on, and I'm pretty sure it's got to be something with Hunter Biden.
Hunter Biden, the photograph of him with 4 kids involving a Ukrainian modeling agency.
Yes.
Yes.
That Hunter Biden, of course.
That Hunter Biden. Just making sure, because just in case there might be another person out there named Hunter Biden.
Nazi fags.
Who's now known as not me.
So, Prime.
Yes, sir.
So, with you having experience with the submarines and stuff, did you ever get to see one implode, or besides the cups, did you actually get to see an implosion?
No, we there wasn't a accident or anything like that since 1963, which that's what started the deep submergence program, because there were 2 vehicles, and I think if you want to pop it up there, I sent a Google search with some of the images.
Yeah.
They were called pickle boats because they look like green pickles, and they were rated to go down to at least, well, at most 5,000 feet to do a rescue on a submarine. There you go, right there. There was the Avalon, which was DSRV-2, and the Mystic, which was DSRV-1. And you could mount those to the back of the submarine, another submarine, and then take it down to the distress submarine. And there's like, if you can see that little white, almost looks like a dome underneath the pickle boat.
Yeah.
That would latch on to the hatch of the distress submarine, and you can ferry people back and forth, and you just do basic trips back and forth to get them to the mother submarine, that's the one that would take it out. But it was an incredible program. Started back, like I said, 1963, with some of the Apollo program features, dials, things like that. And when I was with them, it was in the mid 90s, and we were always doing training with other submarines from different countries. So it was a neat thing. And then the deepest I ever got to was 1,000 feet. I never went down to its max.
Dang.
Yeah, and the pressure was, they're telling you the outside pressure, and you're just seeing the pressure rise as you go down.
You're just kind of along for the ride.
Yeah. I was a photographer for the unit, so I would always take video and photography, and I never piloted those vehicles, but I did pilot and was a certified co-pilot on one of the remotely operated vehicles, which were the robots.
That's cool.
With the arms and everything. It was such a neat time.
if you want to know what happens, look at the movie. I think it's The Abyss, isn't it? That's the one where they show you a human explosion, explosion.
Yeah, when the Navy SEAL that's in the little ROV and he goes past
Too
crush
fast.
depth.
He hits the release. Yeah.
Right. If you want to see one of the pickle boats in action, it was in the movie The Hunt for Red October.
Yeah.
When they went from the American sub to the Russian submarine, and they were in that little vehicle.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a few cuts that don't have it for some reason.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
It's in the extended edition.
So that dome that's underneath, how would there be pumps to get water out?
Exactly. They would latch on, which was called a soft seal. Once you had a soft seal, then these pumps would work all the air out of it, or all the water out of it. And then once you had as much, you wouldn't be able to take 100% of the water out, but you'd take most of it out. You had what's called a hard seal, and that means that the pressure around you, the differential pressure, would keep it latched on, and then you'd attach these these hooks and things like that to get actually onto the submarine hatch, and then they would open the hatch. The guys at the distress submarine. When I mean distress, that's the one that's gone down.
Right.
They would open the hatch, and then they'd start ferrying guys up into the submarine, and you would go into that dome, and then you could crawl back, and basically it looks like a bullet, but
right.
The actual part of the submarine that you're looking at is 3 domes. There was a 3 spheres is what they called them. First one was the control sphere, and that had all your radar, sonar, not radar, but sonar and controls. And then you had the mid sphere, which everybody would come into. And then there was an aft sphere, which they would all sit down in. And you can carry, I think it was 30 guys, not 30, I'm sorry, 20 guys in one shot through the aft and the mid sphere. And then you just go and ferry them to the other submarine and just keep going back and forth as many times as you could pick up as many people as you could.
Right.
So yeah, it was really, really cool.
Huh. Do they use that kind of stuff often?
They didn't. Let's see. Since 63, they really never had to use it for real. They would just train with it a lot.
There was one event, the Kursk. The Avalon was sent out to the Kursk.
But the Kursk, the Russians did not receive it.
No,
to help them. But they declined it.
Yeah, it was sent out, but it was declined. Yeah,
right.
That's right.
So it was declined by the Russians.
There has been a sunken sub, yeah, but they were declared dead. That's why they didn't want.
Yeah, same thing. I mean, I think they were in 600 feet of water, the Kursk, and there was somewhat of an implosion as well. But that was a crazy thing.
Yeah.
Dang.
The Kursk, I believe, was a failure of hull section, wasn't it? The front separated.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation if it was a runaway torpedo or that one blew up in the torpedo tube.
Yeah. How many people can be on a submarine, like your average battle sub?
Well, that depends. You have the Americans. Most navies have. Well, not most, but the American Navy has fast attack submarines, and then they have ballistic missile submarines. And the crew complement would be on a fast attack, roughly, I'd say 100 people. Wow. And on a ballistic missile submarine, which is a lot bigger, you're looking at about $150.
Dang, it's a lot of people.
It is, and it's tight quarters. But with that being real tight, yeah, they coined the term hot racking if you have too many people to the bunks that they have. Like they'll have, let's say, 100 bunks, and if you have certain people there that are doing training or whatever, you might have 140 people, and they have to switch out, or they have to sleep opposite of each other. So if you're on 12 on in the daytime and then 12 off, you'd be swapping with somebody in that rack. But that didn't happen too often because they tried to keep people at a good balance, a good mix.
In some navies, they put to sea as few as 12 because there's a lot of submarine rides are just go out, come back.
Right.
They just go out to confirm whether or not there's a contact that says it's another submarine or ship. They go out, they confirm contact, and then the government says, we'll issue a warning. They turn away and the submarine comes back. So they're not really manned for war. They just got a skeleton crew to take it out and back just to confirm contact.
And there's so much of the submarine force that's quiet. I mean, they call them the quiet professionals for a reason. Silent service is the other term, because there's not a lot that comes out about it. So, and they like to keep it that way.
Yeah, it's very rare. But I was it the Essex or the Sussex? They did a video documentary back in the 80s showing it's a very quiet life where they spend days just reading the sub manuals, going around whispering to each other, name this part.
Right. Yeah. Because any sound that you generate down there travels long distance. So so if you're dropping tools or things like that, you don't want to do that on a first of all any vessel, but especially submarines.
Yeah, it's
that's why these guys were talking about that. They said that they had heard
sound.
banging or something, but that didn't end up being the crew of the the folks there.
That was debris bouncing off the boat.
It was something, but they're still speculating as to what it was.
Yeah, I know they're saying they're still speculating, but the official report has been issued. Death report has been issued by the Coast Guard that they have confirmation of catastrophic event.
Mm-hmm.
But they're no longer showing pictures. So they did show a picture of the Titanic with debris around it, and that was not up. I just checked.
That stinks.
So it's an unfortunate situation that happened, and there's a lot of folks that are talking. Like some of the friends of the CEO, Stockton Rush is his name.
Well, they're quick to trample in his grave, aren't they?
There's been some, but the true friends are holding tight to being, at least favorable, that he was a pioneer in his field, that he was a researcher and just, like anybody else, like the Wright brothers, they flew for 13 seconds before they landed. But had they crashed that vehicle, they would have been known as, a daredevil.
Well, they were. One of the Wright brothers was the first victim of an air crash.
Wilbur or Orville?
I think it was Wilbur.
Mm-hmm.
I think during one of their test flights for the Army, there was a crash. And he fell 100 meters and was pretty wrecked.
Wow.
But I think they got a contract from the Army for 100 aircraft, which was later completed by the Wright Brothers Air Corporation. I think it was taken over by Westinghouse.
Oh, so this was later in their career.
Yeah, later in their career.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, later in their career when they were near the end of the they hadn't had a crash for a long time, and then they had like 100 planes, and everything was going right. They had the powered flight. They were getting up, and then just something happened.
But yeah, this Titan situation is going to change the landscape of this experimental field that they have with deep diving.
Well, a lot of them are circling the wagons saying, oh, it should have been regulated long ago. But I'm actually seeing the disaster side, the big brother side of this, where they're just using this as an excuse to have US international, an international-led coalition of the willing, so to speak, to patrol the seas and be the police force that they've always wanted to be,
You mean like the gatekeepers?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what Stockton Rush was really upset about. He didn't want there to be any undue influence in his certification, so that's why they cut a lot of corners and they were very innovative in the way that they did things. But in the end, it cost him his life.
But his friends are saying they did test the vehicle. It's just that, but some are saying, but they're questioning whether or not he tested it after each dive, and did he test it at that depth for that length of time?
Right, because I was gonna bring up earlier that anytime you put pressure, as much pressure as you do on the, let's say, the steel of a vehicle or a submergence unit vehicle, what you're doing is it's like a let me see, the best way to describe it is like a sponge. You can squeeze a sponge and then let it out, and it's going to come back to its, I guess, natural form. But if you keep squeezing it over and over, it tends to get smaller or more compact. And the same thing with steel. It's gonna steel is only so brittle or malleable that it will shrink and it will expand and shrink and expand until it has a catastrophic failure.
I don't know the name of the name of the tool, but it involves a lot of secret technology anyway. But they use it to stress test subs, because they know if they pick up any deformation, that next dive could be their last. Deformation of the hull.
Yes. Okay. Can't comment on that.
No, but I'm just saying, it's the same with aircraft. They do.
Let's talk about aircraft instead.
Yeah, they do. Well, this is what they're saying. They didn't use a tool that's designed for submarines. They used a tool that was designed for aircraft.
Right. He was very much aircraft oriented in how he wanted to do his approach. Yeah.
And that he could pick up a microfracture, but what he couldn't pick up is hull deformation.
But
yeah. Okay.
If it didn't implode, and let's just say it was just sitting on the right there near the Titanic, could they have saved them if they found them?
Yes. That's what the Navy said. If they've gotten it, say they heard but here's the problem. The submarine did not use a surface relay. So if they were in trouble, no signal would have gotten out.
Well,
that I don't know if they could have saved it. A lot of the deep submergence programs have gone away throughout the years because, again, there hasn't been any catastrophic failures of submarines or deep submersibles for a long time.
Yeah.
So certain countries will say, well, why do we need this capability, and why are we spending the money? Again, it comes down to money. Why are we spending the money to keep this unit active when we haven't had a failure in 30 years, 40 years?
And then they point to the Brazil, but then they say, well, by the time they got to the Brazilian sub, and if they had found it, it would have been too late.
You mean the Chilean sub?
Chilean sub, sorry.
Yeah. That's the one that sunk, and I think it was in about 300 to 400 feet of water. I mean, it's nothing compared to the Titanic, but you can't blow out of that thing that far deep. There's certain depths that you can get out of, but 300-400 plus, plus whatever, that's exactly where you can't get out of. The pressure's too great.
Yeah, it's the same with these escape bells that they were talking about, putting on submarines. Well, the problem is those bells would be detached under most if they go to optimal depth, those bells would have been crushed or detached.
Yeah. We also dealt with them as well. We had the ROVs, the bell, the diving bell, and the DSRVs, which were the remotely operated vehicles. DSVs, which were the Sea Cliff and the Turtle, and then the DSRV, which was the Mystic and the Avalon.
Now, the origin of the term inherent biases actually comes from the prejudice of first experiences. Like, if your experience with submarines is what you've seen on TV, that's what you build up submarines to be in your mind.
Right.
So when they hear about something going to the Titanic, all they're thinking about is it's just 20,000 leagues under the sea. They're getting their diving bell, get out and have a tourist snapshot moment. Where they're bouncing around on the bottom of the ocean in diving bell helmets.
Right. Yep.
And that's the problem with 90% of the population don't understand what inherent bias is. It's not racism. It's actually a prejudice built up over time of experiences that you get from entertainment and other non-factual sources intruding on your factual, logical mind.
Right. It's just prejudging what you would see based upon, like you said, entertainment, films, whatever, that show people down there, like The Abyss. The Abyss is a really good film. Yeah. It's a really good example of, if you see how far filling your lungs with liquid oxygen to breathe. I don't know, but I've never seen that done before.
I think it has been done a few times, but they've actually scrapped it.
Right.
But they haven't said why. So,
but watching the movie, you'd probably think, hey, why can't we do that? Why can't we fill a diver's lungs full of liquid oxygen and send them down there and help these people out? I know that sounds corny, but I'm sure there's some folks based on inherent bias that they would think that could be accomplished. When these folks went down considering they're down there getting crushed. Right. I mean, pressure alone. But when these folks took that dive, there was a video that they showed the other day. I was watching it where this guy was reading, you could lose a limb, or he was reading the information as far as a form that he had to sign based upon the possible issues that he could encounter. And he's like, well, where do I sign? I don't, this could result in death. And he's like, I don't care. Let me sign here. So
there's also the fact that those vehicles lose heat.
Yeah, incredibly cold down there. Incredibly cold.
It literally, people don't understand this, but the cold devibrates the sub. Now, that vibration movement is what keeps the water flowing over the surface of the submarine. It's actually slowing the sub down. It's like going through mud.
Now, is it like, this might be a stupid question, but how is it powered? Is it just electric batteries, or was it?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was electric. You can't burn anything down there. I mean,
it's electric. Yeah, they haven't built a one that's made from diesel or nuclear power yet. So something that small.
No, it's not that small. But the Germans did have a hydrogen cell, but they've cut that one out too.
Mm-hmm.
Again, any pressure variation, and plus the fact that the ocean's sucking the heat out, takes a lot of the energy out of the makes it very inefficient. Makes the motors very inefficient.
Right. But on the DSRVs, the Avalon and the Mystic, they had several thrusters, as they call them, which were propellers, little small propellers, about probably 12 inches across, maybe a little bit larger, that you could perform certain maneuvers with. You could do thrust up, thrust back, or thrust down. You could do side to side. You could even pitch it because of how many thrusters were on there. And I don't mean thrusters like something's going in and pushing out like you would see a jet aircraft. This is just mainly propellers moving it left, right, front, back.
They call them thrusters because they're actually shielded propellers. They're actually
right, exactly. Yeah. So that's how you would maneuver down there, and you're talking 1 to 2 knots maybe. It's a very slow process. It's a very slow process to get where you're going, and there's a very slow process to come back from where you've been.
Yeah, because it's salt water. It's mud.
And you don't want to have real fast thrusters when you're trying to do delicate little movements as these vehicles were doing. I remember one time we were on the Juan de Fuca Ridge. That was right off the coast of, I believe, Washington State. And there were like these hydrothermal vent fields, which were like little mini volcano. They weren't spewing lava or anything. They were spewing hot water, through there. They look like little mountains. And so we had to cut back the thrusters on the DS, the UMV, the unmanned vehicle. We had to cut back on it because any little movement, if you move too quick, you could slip and knock these things over. And these hydrothermal vents, it took them years and maybe hundreds of years to be created. We wanted to make sure that we were not destroying the sea life, or there was no reckless people driving these things. You had to be very careful when you were maneuvering through this vent field. And again, really, really, really neat stuff.
As part of my research for a story, I actually wrote it. I was writing about deep submergence, and I actually read about it. And they're saying, without revealing secret technology in some of these books, they're talking about all the psychological tests for the pilots, the sort of navigation gear they use, the amount of safety training they undergo in deep water pools.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there were no reckless individuals, and if that was the case, you'd get pulled from being a pilot.
Yeah, unlike Air Force. But
now remember, when the pilots are sitting up on top of a ship, they're on a ship, and there's this huge long column of tethered. It's a tethered vehicle. It's got a big, huge drum. The drum's probably 10 feet. The radius is like 10 feet, and then it's just spooling all this cable out or pulling it back in. That's how you get the vehicle on and off of the ship.
Yeah.
So really neat. Look into it. I mean, it's got a lot of look at.
And as much as they ridicule Howard Hughes, you wouldn't have it without his money.
True. True. A lot of big bucks.
Funded the deep submergence vehicle for Odyssey, the recovery of the sunken Russian submarine, which America did finally return, by the way.
Man, dude, this has been like a really interesting conversation. I've learned so much tonight.
And we really didn't get to secondary topics.
I mean, we can. I'm not trying to end. I'm just saying, like, this has been incredible. Like, I'm so glad Prime showed up.
Yeah, we are. I mean, thanks for your service. I mean,
honestly, it's taken me back to a really cool time in my life, and at the time, I knew that this was like really important, really neat, top shelf stuff. But now that I look back on it, it was like a really, I had the time of my life. No, I never will. I don't even know. But yeah, it was really a cool time back then.
Yeah, but like I said, inherent biases says most people out there thinking it's 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, where they just rock up, open the hatch, and jump out in their diving bells.
Yeah, no way.
And just pump air. Oh, they're trapped. It'll just take. Oh, it's only 2 miles, so that's a quick car ride.
Yeah, 2 miles.
Yeah, realistically, I was driving down the interstate. I think it was like yesterday morning on my way to work, and I was like, I watched my odometer, and I was trying to picture like what 2 miles looks like.
Mm-hmm.
And there's nowhere on my the interstate that I use that I can see 2 miles away.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, it's such a distance. Like you don't think about 2 miles just up the street, but I mean,
that's the
there's some
horizon.
serious space.
And I honestly, I think that even back then, when I was a young lad in that unit, I was thinking, why aren't we? Of course, because we had people come in from like the University of Washington, and then from different colleges. We'd do like a summer internship. We'd go out there, and for a month or so, we'd be out looking for whatever sea plankton that lives at 5,000 feet or something, whatever it was. We even worked with Dr. Bob Ballard, which is one of the famous explorers who found the Titanic. Even met James Cameron just before he made the film Titanic. He came out to look at some of our submersibles and things like that. And of course, I'm this young kid going, "Hey, Mr. Cameron, what do you tell an aspiring film guy or whatever?" And he's like, "So what do you want to do?" And I was like, "I want to direct movies and direct films." And he goes, "Kind of like what you're doing now," because I was filming him at the time. And he says, "Yeah, just go out and direct and work whatever you can work." So I took that as a little bit of advice and started doing that. But I mean, you get to meet some really interesting people in that field. And of course, they all are there to change the world. And what I mean by that is that they wanted to be the next person that discovered, plankton life that could eat, raw sewage here on Earth, not on Earth, but on surface. They found some sea life that could eat oil, or that would consume oil in certain oil slicks.
Yeah.
So let's say you had a ship that crashed, like there was the Exxon Valdez, that it just dumped so much oil into the water. They found a certain type of plankton that could eat that oil, and I don't know how they proved it, but yeah, you get some very interesting people that you meet in that field. So when I
There are several
was younger,
species of marine bacteria. They're actually marine bacteria,
right?
Known as Pseudomonas and Alec, and they can eat petroleum and other hydrocarbons as part of their diet.
Exactly.
And what they do is that they have a membrane that can actually absorb hydrocarbons, and as they absorb hydrocarbons, they break it down and expel the hydrogen. And this is the stuff that the US Navy has been testing, I think, since 1998 to create hydrogen fuel without and by dome capping the oil, and just basically putting a colony of this stuff in, which they find in certain parts of the world where there are high methane, etc. This is where these naturally live. That's why you've probably been going to a lot of events with capture devices,
right?
To capture these things, because my father was actually given a bottle of this colony to test out on cleaning concrete and at a building site, cleaning up building sites with this stuff. You get a lot of foam and fiberglass and stuff like that, and and they were testing it out on all sorts of materials, right, to see what it would eat, because they actually found that this is the problem where you get some ships rusting, no matter how many times they put a coat of paint on it.
Yeah, it's 30 coats of paint.
Yeah. Well, this is the stuff that does that. It's not just this is bacteria in the ocean. It just gets in and it eats through the paint.
Wow. So see, here you go. We were doing this 30 years ago, roughly. Finding this bacteria, and now you're telling me on the back end what it's used for, and it took 30 years to find that out. So incredible.
Yeah, and on the back end, all those coats of paints on the ships. Now you know what happened to the paint.
Right.
You
That's
too.
incredible.
Yeah, but it is useful.
No.
You have actually changed the world. You have helped bring about a remarkable discovery that's helping clean up pollution around the world.
Right, and that's what these these young folks that were coming from these colleges wanted to do. I mean, I remember talking to a couple of them. They're like, "We just want to change the world," and it's like, "Well, you're here to change it, so good luck." But
The thing is, they didn't change the world. They discovered a part of the world that can be put to greater use.
right, well, I'm sure in their mind that was changing something. So
Yeah. It
we
did
wish
bring
them
about
well.
change, but it was they didn't invent a discovery. They discovered
That's racist.
that's racist. Yeah, but eventually we'll know more about these bacteria, I guess, over time. But I know they said it was plankton, but I don't know the difference between sea plankton, sea bacteria, and now what they call macroviruses.
Right.
But you guys, some of those guys, they discovered near volcanoes these sulfuric life forms known as macroviruses.
I remember those. Yep.
Yeah, macroviruses. This is a virus you can see, and they're not small either.
No, not at all. And the sea life that you see down there, you think. I'm trying to remember
one
what
ugly motherfucker.
Want some candy?
You know those cartoon caricatures you see of monsters, with the funny teeth and drooping eyes.
Yeah, or you see that we were always looking for that fish that had the little
the angelfish, the one
the
with the
angelfish. They had
head.
the thing up in the top, and we never saw one of those, but we would see some really weird fish because they live in complete darkness, but they're able to illuminate themselves or to go off of like the feeling. If our vehicle would roll up on them, let's just say
they could feel you coming from.
They could feel us coming, and they'd scatter off.
Vibrations through the water.
The vibrations
well ahead of you. Yeah, that's how they. That's how they. I don't exactly know how this device works, but it looks like a disc, and it's got a wire between it. You ever seen one? It's like a disc. It's got the wire between it, and that can measure the vibrations in the water.
Huh. There was probably one of them on the vehicle itself.
Yeah.
Because that was just... It was all hillbillied up with all sorts of equipment.
It gives you it's sort of like a primitive collision detector.
Okay, I see. So the vibration on the wire would tell you how much vibration,
how close you're to something, because of the feedback but it only worked at high pressure. So I think that
you're gonna have to change your name title there to put the engineer David Applegate. I mean, you're sounding like an engineer big time.
Oh, that was my father.
Okay.
Yeah. He never got, but they didn't give him a degree. They didn't award him a degree because he did it at college, not university.
Big difference?
Big difference, yes.
Okay.
Big difference. But look, he worked on he actually worked on a diving diving torpedo. You ever worked with one of those?
No.
No, the diving torpedo. Basically, diver in a torpedo.
A diver torpedo. Like there's a diver in a torpedo.
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Big balls.
Worked on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Appalachian American, what's going on?
Not much, man. I'm really enjoying y'all's conversation, dude.
Well, thank you.
Like,
thank you for letting me vent.
Seen some amazing things. I mean,
and I know like 1/10,000th of what these actual guys that I worked with who were familiar with the program a lot more, because I was kind of coming onto their turf But when I qualified for a pilot and co-pilot of the unmanned vehicles, 2 of them, the Scorpio and the advanced tethered vehicle, it was a good day for me because I was then part of the crew. I wasn't just sitting around, taking pictures and stuff. I was able to be part of the crew and stand watches and stuff like that. So,
yeah. But my father, because he didn't get a degree, he ended up working on assembling cigarette machines. And he was in China when the revolution broke out. And he was in Vietnam in 1963.
Oh, just before everything popped off, huh?
He was in North Vietnam when everything popped off.
Wow.
He was assembling a cigarette machine for the French cigarette manufacturer.
Oh, that's right, because the French were all over there.
Yeah, and just one day he was the only one at work, and because all the French had that night, all the French had told everybody except for the Americans and the Australians that they were bugging out. So he and a couple of dozen other people found themselves in a Vietnamese prison and handed over the Russians who sailed them out to the US Navy and handed them over.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's some stories right there.
Oh, yeah. No, but imagine, what's my luck? I've been in 2 revolutions.
Hey guys, I gotta run downstairs real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. He was on the Shanghai train when the revolution broke out in China.
Huh.
And he was arrested by the Revolutionary Guards, held for a week at the border, and handed over to the Americans in Vietnam, ironically. And that's how he ended up working there in Vietnam, assembling the cigarette machines there. Because
man, you probably have is Dad still with us?
No, he died of cancer in the 90s.
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah,
but
he never got to write down his stories. He wanted to, but then his faculties went a week later, and he died 2 weeks after that.
Wow, so it was quickly taken.
Yeah,
sorry to hear that.
Yeah, but it would have been a painful couple of weeks. It was bone cancer, and the amount of morphine they put in him, I was surprised that he lasted that long.
Wow.
Yeah.
What you got, Tommy Gunn?
Oh, not much. Really not much. Just been listening.
How'd the drag race go?
For JJ's arm drop, we won that one.
Uh-huh.
And then for Street Outlaws, we put Golden Child on the trailer, and then we kind of lost traction, so we had to let out of it. So we got the semifinals and lost that one.
Oh, wow. At least you took one, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Now, are these funny cars or are they the dragsters?
It's a top fueler. Ours is a top fueler, but it has a top fuel motor in it. So it's a drag car, but steel bodies. So it's got to be where it's had to be on the road, and technically you could still put it on the road.
Oh, okay. So it was like the unibody design?
Yeah.
What we did is it has to have a VIN number. So that means at one point it had to be just a normal car. Gotcha.
Something fiberglass.
Gotcha.
But they call it, I believe they call it a production vehicle.
Yeah. But here's the thing. We're the only ones that actually put a top fuel motor in ours.
A what, sorry?
A top fuel motor. If you ever watch NHRA and you see the flames coming out the side, that's top fuel motor.
Oh, okay.
It's a 521 Hemi blower motor. So it's a Brand Anderson motor,
right?
Canada. But it is a Hemi, and it's considered a Chrysler motor. But
yeah,
Ford did make a Hemi though.
Huh.
They were the first to make a Hemi.
Who are we talking about?
Hemi Cuda?
Hemi.
Hemi, how Ford made the Hemi. We're talking about where the motor in the Mustang is a Chrysler motor.
But remember way back in the beginning when we said there was a lot of stories we missed?
Yeah.
Well, there was a big one about TDS. Samuel L. Jackson has TDS, and he bonded with Brie Larson.
So
I'll send you the link in description.
Oh, so what? I'm sorry, Tommy. Who got started about the
We were just talking about the race the last week.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Or a couple weeks ago.
And you said Ford invented a Hemi?
Ford, didn't they come out the first Hemi?
No.
I thought they had the first Hemi and they sold it to Dodge.
No, Chrysler did it first. Then they sold it to they sold it to Ford. Then they sold it to Dodge.
Huh.
So Chrysler was the first one in 1950.
Okay.
So where does the Hemi Cuda come from?
It only was in the Hemi technically wasn't in Ford production, but for just a couple years, and then it went to Dodge.
Okay.
So once the Dodge got back hold of it, they shoved it in everything they could find. But
well, that's Dodge. I mean, they got a reputation for shoving big motors in small cars.
Yeah. The engine was first produced in 1964, was placed under the hood of the NASCAR Racing 1964 Plymouth Belvedere. So,
yes, I remember my father's garage. Huge, bloody.
In 1968, Ford bought the company, a new engine family called the 385 series. So
they called it engine with wheels.
I love Ford. I'm a Ford guy. So in high school, I wanted to write about Henry Ford because I didn't really know nothing about him. He wasn't a very nice person.
No, he was not.
No,
he was,
and he was even worse to his son. Did y'all hear about his son?
No.
So his son died from basically a hernia. Started it, and then he had stomach cancer or something like that. But the problem is he was so hard on his son. He basically gave him the reins, and once he got a big project going, he would step in and say, "You're doing it wrong." Like he started building another factory, and just went in there and told him to stop it. It's horrible. It's not right, and it never got touched again.
Dang.
And he wouldn't let them demolish it, fill in the hole, or nothing. It stayed there to remind his son of how much of a screw up he was, basically.
Sounds like John Paul Getty.
Yeah.
He was horrible to his whole family. So was Rockefeller.
So how did your report turn out?
I stayed away from the magazine he made.
Mm-hmm.
I basically talked about his innovation with making cars.
Gotcha.
You think these days you'd get an A+ for that? Henry Ford, the evil capitalist. A+. Don't have to read it.
So I don't know if you guys are paying attention to Twitter these days, but there's been a challenge put out.
Oh yes.
Yeah. Apparently, Elon Musk wants to fight Mark Zuckerberg in a cage match.
And Andrew Tate has offered to train Elon.
Right, but apparently Mark Zuckerberg's been training mixed martial arts.
Yeah, actually, he's been training jiu-jitsu for some time, ever since death threats way back in the early 90s. Yeah. When he was like a dweeb. He still looks like a dweeb.
Yeah, well, he's an alien, so, you know.
Or Android.
Android,
you bet your money on that?
Elon.
Now, is that biased opinion or size-wise or?
Well, Elon's a bit shorter, but he's heavier, which gives an advantage.
It's on Elon. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, dude, I think I think Elon Musk's got it because Mark Zuckerberg, man, he's weird.
Yeah,
Mark Zuckerberg has probably got technicals because he spends most of his day in not working. And his obsession with workouts, but he's like me. Zuckerberg doesn't grow muscle, It's like, dude, if you're after 20 years, if you're working out and you don't grow muscle, you're never going to grow muscle, right?
Yeah.
Get those roids into you.
Blade, did you comment howdy on your own thing?
Yeah.
Like, has he even said a thing the whole time?
Actually, yeah.
Very little.
Okay.
Very
So,
little, yeah.
Channel Dad, what do you think about the Elon Musk?
Channel Dad's sitting here going,
Don't care.
I think Zuckerberg's got an edge because he's been at it a lot longer.
Yeah,
Probably.
that's what I was thinking.
More experience.
I just think, I'm saying he's got technicals which will keep him in the fight, but I doubt it would.
tentacles.
No, but you know what I mean? Training. He's got training. He knows all
I
the
thought
moves.
she was meaning his alien tentacles.
But,
Well, there's that. Yeah.
There's that, but
But
no,
see,
technical
also-
training, yes.
who's winning
Elon
on the
Musk
weight
doesn't
scale?
Oh, Elon for sure.
Elon's
Elon,
heavier.
see that is beneficial though. Size
He's
does
thicker.
matter in a fight. Even I know skill does too, but size does matter.
Mm-hmm.
That's what she
I
said.
mean, Zuckerberg may have a slight reach advantage, but Elon with his size, there's what they call Mr. Right height, between 5'10", 5'11", where you've got enough where you're agile and strong, where Zuckerberg is going to be, he may have reach, but he's not as agile.
See, what Elon's gonna do is he's gonna put a chip in his brain that's gonna teach him to fight
Yeah.
like Bruce Lee.
Download boxing,
Yeah.
download Bruce Lee.
Download.
Through a matrix. Yeah. If your chip in your head makes you go, I think there's something wrong with your chip in your head.
Do you think it's actually gonna happen though, or you think it was just a joke?
I thought the whole thing was a joke. I didn't realize he actually said it. I started seeing the meme on
I thought it
Twitter. I
was a
didn't
meme.
realize.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just thought it
didn't
was
know
a
was
meme.
real until I saw Elon going, yeah, it's on.
So then
It's on like
I
Donkey
hate to
Kong.
see it.
Yeah.
Supposedly it's going to be a UFC and it's going to be like a pay-per-view. So
They got to
We
get
could-
Joe Rogan to be the narrator. Well,
we could get it, and then we could do a watch party.
Oh yeah, we'll have to.
Oh, it'd be fun.
Anybody been following whether or not it's actually when it's on?
Is it going to last longer than 5 minutes? I mean, it's supposed to be like
Well,
the last Ronda Rousey fight.
Looking it up. Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg fight.
But Elon will have a
Sounds
bit of an
fun.
endurance advantage.
No, I know Mike Zuckerberg did go to competitions.
Glad Mike
Wow.
Zuckerberg win.
Apparently,
Mark, whatever.
Yeah.
apparently Zuckerberg has referenced his jiu-jitsu experience and has agreed to a fight.
Oh. And he lost a tournament recently where the ref thought he tapped out or something and he didn't.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
Well, that's a TKO. Yeah, even if you don't do it, there's no intent. They don't come over and ask, "Did you mean to do it?" No. If you make that move, you're out. There's actually a picture of Zuckerberg in boxing gloves with bruises and stuff.
Watch,
Saying he's been fighting for years.
He beats him and then buys Facebook.
Yeah, the thing is, the accusations against Mark Zuckerberg is that he's been doing these featherweight fights against people who are going to let him win, just so he can beat up poor people,
I mean, if he paid me $50,000, I'd let him win.
That's it, $50,000. These guys are worth billions, and You want 50 grand?
Well,
with this inflation, you're
he
right.
could. The thing, he could get a Filipino for 5, so and we all know how we all know. There's Bill Gates.
Elon says he has this movie called The Walrus where I just lie on top of my opponent and do nothing. These guys are like best friends, and they're just doing this to drum up some action.
Probably.
There's no date, but Elon Musk posted June 20th. I'm up for a cage match if he is. Somebody said, "Love you, Elon, but you better start training." And then Mark Zuckerberg screenshotted that, put "send me a location" and posted it to his Instagram account.
Yeah, he also posted one of him in boxing gloves with bruises.
Yeah, there's a picture floating around of him wearing a tack vest, but his head's oddly deformed. Let me show you.
That's definitely Mark Zuckerberg.
His head's always oddly deformed.
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
That's why people make fun of him, because he has a disproportionately sized head.
He does look like an alien.
He got little pointy ears and his head like caves in. He's like the dent side of Ford trucks.
I know who he is. He's
God of War. You know
all grown up.
You ever see God of War with the guys holding the 2 hammers? Boink.
Yeah. Tommy, like, you see what I'm saying? The dent side?
Yeah.
Right through this section right here, just right beside the eyes.
He's just missing the trim pieces.
Yeah, he's the dent side.
He's the one who crawled out of the sub. He's the one who got out of the sub and floated to the surface.
Nazi fags.
Shut up, Joe Biden. Stop calling us Nazi. You know what?
Well, according to Joe Biden, if you put a brace on a pistol, you can fire larger caliber rounds and make it a more powerful gun.
Allegedly.
And the audience, did you see the audience? They were clapping like freaking.
Well, they don't know any more than he does.
That is neat.
Yeah.
No, they know less. They know how to clap. If they knew more, they'd be the ones up on the stage.
Right.
But apparently you can rock up in a truck and sell AR-15s to just about anybody. Who knew?
I guess in Chicago.
Yeah. Exactly.
Not around here.
Oh, David, you posted about the on Instagram the missing Titanic submersible company was using star satellites from Elon Musk. And yes, Elon commented and said, "You can't even run a good psyop."
Yeah, you can't use the internet underwater, you idiots.
Yeah.
You need what's called a sonar relay.
I think they were using it on the ship to locate or something.
Yeah. They were using satellite location.
On the mothership, as it were.
On the mothership, yeah. But not on the sub. The sub did not have its relay deployed.
It's not even light down there.
For some reason, they weren't on umbilical.
So
yeah.
From what I heard, though, you can't. It had a window, but you can barely see anything through the window. Like, you have to be right up on it.
According to the pictures, it was a looked like about a 5-inch window on the front.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you'd have to carry very bright lights to see anything down there, down that low.
Yeah.
I don't even know if there's any sunlight that makes it down there.
No.
0.
Isn't it half every 10 feet, something like that? Or every 20 feet?
I think it was 20.
I mean, it doesn't take long, and you're pretty much in darkness.
Yeah. I think about 20 or 20 meters, you get 0. 20 meters is, I think, the 0 light barrier, and then 30 is where the temperature inversion starts to occur, where there's no more thermal. The only time you get thermals is discharge from a fissure.
Yeah. Well, fellas,
Yeah,
I've hit that
rarely any
10:30
significantly
mark, and I
below
have to do
200.
a hard out. So, Tommy, I'm handing you the keys, buddy.
All right.
Are
The
we just done?
conversation's still pretty rolling.
All right.
I've got to go to work tomorrow. I've got to be up at 4:45.
Did you
Ugh.
want to discuss? Have a nice day, Seth. And
I'll talk to y'all later.
See you,
Yeah,
man. We'll have to
And
talk
don't forget, everybody, Coffee
We'll
and
have to
Gaming is
talk
only
Coops sometime.
it's not live. Coffee and Gaming is not live, but it is on. It's going to premiere
All right.
one of his videos.
All right. Channel Dad, since you settled into your home and everything, do you enjoy it more than where you lived before?
Some things I do.
Do you miss anything?
If Sky Best would get done installing the fiber optic internet, that would be awesome.
That's what I got. I love fiber optic.
I do miss having 2 homebrew stores within a half-hour drive. The closest one's 2 hours from me.
Oh,
I need to get back into brewing, but
Yeah, I got fiber to the node, but unfortunately, from my it's only to the wall. So
yeah. Now in the old house, I had fiber coming in to the router.
yeah,
that's what I had.
Yeah, it's only to the wall unit, not the router. So
Yeah. But apparently, with Cincinnati Bell, a few years after I got that installed, they stopped doing that. It was more like a local run, and then But
they found the cost of they found no real benefit to putting it to the house because you're on a router.
Yeah,
you're only as fast as your slowest device.
So, but over
but
time,
it does have advantage if you're using a multiplex router because then you can have multiple systems all running at 100K.
Yeah. Well, I used to do 200 megs. Eventually, I got up to 200. I think I started it at 50, and we had it for 15 years or something. But no, but and if the juvenile black bear that's been messing with my chicken coop decides he wants to come back, I might have to get a Henry 44 mag or something. Not sure, which that'd be nice.
Teach him some manners.
Oh,
yeah.
That reminds me. So we went hiking. There's a park near our house, and there we have black bears up here. And we went hiking, and when we parked the car, we noticed the picnic area. Everything was turned over. These big, heavy trash can boxes were turned over. I didn't think nothing about it. We got halfway up the hiking trail, and we started hearing a lot of leaves move. And I'm going, wait a minute. That was heavy trash cans.
Yeah.
That's probably a bear that turned them over, and we're hiking in its woods right now.
He's
and
stalking
I had
you.
nothing on me.
Yeah. Yeah, we were fine. Apparently, this one was one that East Tennessee State University relocated from Gatlinburg a few months ago. And because it's been a couple weeks now that, we were walking the dogs up the mountain and we hear this noise. It's much further up, and we're like, we'll turn around. But yeah, that night, about 2:00 in the morning, he turned the chicken coop over and he wanted the feed. We had left some feed out, not much. And so I finally found the feeder. It took me about a week and a half to find the feeder, but I don't even know if it had 3 ounces of feed in it. But the chickens were okay. They were just freaked out. I mean, ripped the door off. He ripped.
That's the thing. I thought bears couldn't eat the seed. I guess it's in desperation, though.
Yeah. Well, if they relocated him here, there are local bears, right?
Yeah.
So they're not going to accept him. He's probably hungry. And then there's some deer that I've been seeing recently that's by himself. I don't know if it's a juvenile male or if it's a female, because there was a group of 2 moms that one had twins and one had a single, and the 5 of them, we used to see them a lot. I haven't seen them recently. And and I could have sworn the other day I saw a bobcat running up the driveway, and there was a wild turkey walking behind it. And I'm like, okay, I know bobcats aren't very large because
we have a local
turkeys.
turkey. Yeah, we have a turkey. I'm in the city, and we have a local turkey.
The mayor?
No, an actual turkey.
Yeah. No, but there's things I like. It's nice. The ski area is about as far as Perfect North was, and it's nicer runs. The snow's not as good, but
Yeah.
no, it's been an adjustment. I think we're still adjusting. If I get back into home brewing and then distilling, it'll really be into it. It's nice. I can go shoot in my side yard. I can go to a range, but I don't have to. Old place that I would had the police banging down my door.
Now, do you make any more videos from your show? The beer tasting and stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm wait. That's one thing I'm really behind on is this. Although I went to, because of my stuff with the kidney stones, I had to go to Boone the other day, and there's a place that I stopped. And they've got a really good selection. So now I know I'll have to make a pilgrimage over there once a month or twice a month and get some stuff.
Big roll.
Yeah. But part of it is I got to get a better camera so I can put the mountains in the background. But right now they're so bright compared to me that it just doesn't work. My camera's not high definition enough.
So it's not balancing the light levels or the colors.
It's not. It's the light levels. I'm either sitting in that looks like I'm sitting in the dark, or I'm well lit and everything behind me is washed out.
Ooh.
So it doesn't have the range of. But I mean, it's a it's an Nikon D7000. I mean, it does take.
It should, unless the multifocus is sort of glazed over.
Yeah, I could try.
Try get a bit of ethanol on a cotton bud and go over the lens. Maybe on the focus.
Yeah,
might be glazed over.
And I could try matrix focus. I could try a different focusing realm, but I mean that camera's. I don't know how old.
But if it's over 10 years old.
It's more than 10 years old. Yeah.
Well, the chip could be degrading. You see.
Yeah.
So,
but I don't think it does 10-bit video. It does 12-bit still images.
Video. Yeah. If it's not doing 10-bit video, then no point. The chip. No, it doesn't matter what chip you've got. If it's not capturing.
But yeah, it came out in 2010.
Well, there's that. That's in that time period where it should, but might not.
Yeah, it captures raw images are in 14-bit, but I think the video
might be 8.3.
Well, it might be. Well, it's H.
It still looks good. It's still good, but if it's not over 10, forget about it.
Yeah.
You could probably throw a polarizing filter on there and cut down your light levels.
Yeah, the lens I tend to use, I don't know if I have one for that lens, because I got that Nikkor lens when I stopped taking so much photography outside. I was doing more events, and so I have a speed light, and you tend to be much closer to your subjects because it's only a 28 to 70, maybe not even that deep, but it used to do a lot of macro photography years ago. If you go look at my Flickr page, you can see some old macro stuff I used to do, and that was with a Tamron lens. That was a 200 millimeter. It was I think it's an 80 to 200, and then it does macro from like 110 to 200, something like that. And but I think that's only a 5.6. The other stuff's a 2.8. So it's part I went to it's a prosumer lens. It's not an enthusiast lens. I can't afford the pro, the pro lens was like $6,000 or something.
Yeah, there's enough on the secondary market to get something that's supportable instead of you don't have to go for those Nikkor lenses.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just grab it. Hold on.
It's amazing. Just that little bit of optics improvement.
While he's looking at that, I got a new cat. Did I tell y'all last week?
No.
No.
But yeah, but normally I also have this light on top of it, which helps. But yeah, this is 24 to 70, 2.8 G. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow,
that's a big boy.
So that's, yeah, I got this lens, I don't know, years ago. I think it was like $1,800, but brand new. But I think part of it too is I don't know if I have a, I'll have to look, but now I've been meaning to try that. I've tried my phone. I've got a thing here that'll mount on my tripod that the phone can
hey, I
sit
just
in.
3D printed one of them.
Oh, really?
Because I got a tripod and I couldn't figure out how to get my phone on it, and I looked up a design for it, and I 3D printed the exact same thing.
Yeah, it's got a spring.
Yep.
I got it somewhere. I don't remember where. It's like $4 or something. It wasn't.
Yeah, I'm about to print one for Seth for his.
And then the lens hood I just flip around when I have it on. But I mean, this is my typical when I'm using this camera. Good grief! So it sits on the like that.
Yeah, just get the lens barrel
size.
Yeah,
and I might try and do a ring light on it instead of this.
Oh
thing.
yeah,
this
ring light will work.
This thing only gets so bright, and I may have to move it closer to me, which means because I like trying to use 50 millimeter, but sometimes which means I've got it about 10 feet away. That might be too far.
Yeah,
I may have to go a little wider.
You said it goes to 28.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's 24, but this is not a full size camera. So it's a D, is it the DX, right? So it's an FX lens, but it's a full size lens. That's one of the things years ago I was going to upgrade to a full size camera, and a full frame camera. I never did.
I believe they call them the DS, right?
Yeah,
they're just below a full frame.
Well, it's a DX, so it's a half
DX,
size. So what that makes it makes it a 36 millimeter instead of 24, which is good for when I'm trying to push out and I've got like a 200 or 300 millimeter lens. I can go out for half again as far, but when I'm trying to do this other stuff, so maybe I ought to experiment then, because 35 should give me close to an actual 50.
It's slightly wide. It should give you a little bit of a Lebensraum.
Yeah, but around a 35 ought to give me more of a 52, which would be, because that's the portrait mode, right? The 50 to 80, depending on what you want to do. So back, you can't really see it up on that shelf, but I do have my dad's Pentex Spotmatic hanging up on the shelf over there. Still got film in it too. I think, or is that, or one of my uncle's old Nikons has still got film.
When's the last time you processed film from that?
Probably, well, I did a video years ago where I compared, because I had my dad's Spotmatic, and he had a wide angle lens and a 50 millimeter fixed, 1.4, I think.
Ooh, that's nice.
And then so I did some experimentation with this thing, and I don't know how many years ago I did that video, but that's probably the last time I did pictures in the yard. And it's fine, but because Walgreens the Walgreens up the street, a mile and a half up the street from us, you could process film. But
are they still sending them out to a third party lab or something, or they're not doing film anymore?
I don't know what they're doing anymore. But the thing about this is, this is I want to say, is this thing a 16 megabit, a gig? I don't remember. It's been so long since I looked at the specs. Yeah, 16.2 megapixel, DX camera. And by then, last time I did it, the film you could get wasn't that. It was good, but it wasn't that professional grade. But a digital camera with a decent lens takes a much better picture than 35 millimeter. And more, more clarity.
More acutance.
But yeah, and this thing takes, is it 6 batteries? I think the stupid light. It's pretty bright.
Yeah.
And then I have a light that you can see right there. My daughter gave me years ago, and it has an app that you use on your phone. You can change this just changed brightness, and I can replace, do a different color. But that you can actually change the temperature,
color temperature.
Yeah. So it go pretty blue or fairly brown.
Yeah.
Or orangey. So there's some orangey lights down there, so I match all the tints, and it helps. But then the problem is when I crank, the other problem I'm having, and maybe I just got to stop being so lazy and actually do some stuff. Because on one of the doors we tend to leave open, we have this screen that's kind of acts like a little bit like a
polarizer.
Yep. I was going to say paralyzer, and I was like, that's not right. Because
part of the South Central LA,
right? Because that window faces, that side of the house faces southeast. So when in the morning it's light coming in, and then it's so I have shadow behind me, but the mountains are in full sun, right? So that's where the brightness is coming from. And if I'm not careful, I get a lot of glare back from the windows.
Yeah.
So that might help it too. The polarizer might help. Yeah, but I'll double check my camera bag. I think some of my stuff is still in a box somewhere because I still haven't cleaned up everything. I've had to move around stuff. I got a new screen that I had to move my desktop. My laptop's way over here.
Are you guys fully moved in now?
Yeah, we're getting there.
Okay.
We still got a lot of crap I want to get rid of. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff I want to actually get rid of too.
Garage sale.
Turkey lives here. He likes eating turkey. Oh, someone Facebook user. Is that Lapis Anus trolling the feed?
Yes, probably.
Yeah. Hey, hold on. Let me go get the other one. Hold on.
I was going to ask before, but yeah. Did you all hear about Secret Invasion?
Heard about it. Don't know much about it.
It started a couple of days ago.
Oh,
so.
I gotta dust this off. That's bad.
Oh.
But yeah. So.
Oh yes.
Oh, that's a classic.
Yeah, it is.
Yep.
Yeah.
So it's this lens.
That design is so popular that's the icon for that. That's the icon for camera.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. This is a 1.8. I'm getting glare right where I need to look. 55 millimeter. 1.8, and then there's a wide angle somewhere. But yeah, I can't remember if my dad had one and he got in. I want to say in Japan when he was coming back from Vietnam, and then it got stolen, and then I can't remember where he bought this. Yeah, this one does not have film in it. So
I miss film. I really do.
What I miss about film, because I did a lot of. No, there is film in there.
Those are 3 frames that are exposed.
Yeah, but because the counter's on 0.
And
you can't see in it, right? You can't see.
Tighten up the rewinding handle there. See if you can feel it. Well, you just saw it, right?
Yeah, I just saw the thing right here. I didn't expose the film. Yeah, I got to push this button to do that.
Yeah. Yep.
And then this is the battery for I don't even know if I can even open that. I don't even know if it has a battery, but the light meter stopped working a long time ago. So what I did when I was doing my experiment is I used my new camera to meter and then set this camera to what I was trying to do.
Oh, okay.
My father's Nikon was totally manual, not a battery in it.
My first camera was a Pentax K1000.
There you go.
He got his in the Tokyo store in Singapore.
Wow.
The K1000 is more or less what replaced this, I think, eventually. But this is the timer. I forget how many seconds it is, but you
self-timer.
pull it down and push the button that's behind this lever. So then you set, actually it's not a light meter, it's an exposure. I forget. And what I don't remember is, I know you pull this tab to set the ASA, and the lighting in here is not bright enough. I can't really see it. As I say ASA instead of ISO.
ISO, yeah.
But what I don't remember if it affects the needle that you can see in the frame. I think it's just exposure and shutter speed and aperture.
Okay, it didn't have an over and under for.
Well, it was a plus minus.
What
I don't remember, because this little dial doesn't seem to be connected to anything. It just spins.
Mm-hmm.
But you would set I think it's just a reminder of your film speed. I don't think it actually changes what the camera does. And then I don't know whatever happened to it. My dad did have a shutter release. Really, it's just a plunger.
Yeah, cable release. Yeah,
cable release, and you can tighten it and it holds. And I did back in 8th or 9th grade. I did experimentation with, 2 and 3 minute exposures at night. In the snow, street lights and stuff. So that was always the experimenter, and tended to do a lot of still life and wildlife stuff. And then my brother did more. He liked more action stuff, and I did some, but he was more into that kind of thing. So when I got the digital, especially once I could get a bigger, because I had a D80 at first, and then I bought that, and by then I was up to 16 gigabyte cards or 32 gigabyte cards. And I'm shooting. I shot raw all the time. Once I got the software, which no longer, I can't even use it anymore, but the old Nikon software, they stopped updating it. And then because their programmers are morons, it was like once Apple went to 2-digit, that was, OS 10.11 or whatever, or, 10.10.
Yeah.
It doesn't think I have a new enough OS. And so it stopped working. It says you need at least, 10.7 or higher. And I'm like on 12, whatever version I was on. I have a 13-year-old iMac.
Yeah, the problem is that it reads the digital ID number of the OS and compares it.
Right.
And Apple's gone backwards, restarted their sequencing. So
they went to 2 digits.
Number,
It used to just be 2 digits one dot of the long string. And when you went to 10, you went to the next number up. And so that's probably how they programmed it. And it's just looking for the first digit after the decimal, and it's a 1.
A little Y2K action.
Yeah, basically. That's why I said they're morons, because if you coded it right and you look for your 2 dots and you look for however big the number is in between.
Yes, it should read the digital version number.
That's your next video.
My programming experience has been 30 years of frustration of people who shouldn't be programming. My guess is somewhere, I know Uncle Bob does videos where he says that half the programmers in the world have 5 years experience or less. And it's probably true. But my experience has been somewhere between 85 to 95 of the people who are pounding on keys for a living should find something else to do.
I got out of programming 20 years ago because of all the morons who, through nepotism, keep getting into positions of power and trying to get people to code stuff that, like, good luck trying to get this coded in a week, buddy.
Well, and I've been around long enough. I remember the old days when memory was tight.
Yeah, memory was tight. Yep.
Now you don't have, depending on what you're programming, you
still have some limitations, like but they're big, like memory modules. Yeah,
the languages have changed a lot, and like where my current job, one of my frustrations that I constantly run into, and I've even talked to our architect about it. It's like, I was there. I probably didn't look at much of any code for at least the first week.
Yeah,
but the first time I looked at the code that we write for our application, not the internal website nonsense.
Yeah,
the guy that was more or less my mentor, he was the level 5 developer, so he's making sure we're getting up to speed and assigning tasks and all this stuff. And I asked him, I said, is this thing I said, I look at the code and it looks like a bunch of Visual Basic and C++ programmers wrote this with a little bit hint of Java every once in a while. And it's in C#. And he just laughed and he said, that's exactly who they were. It's like, because they took that style that was applicable in those environments and applied it to something that's not applicable. And then they're complaining that it doesn't perform. And it's like, because you didn't write it to perform over here. You know, you can't take a school bus and stick a Formula One engine and expect it to go around the racetrack.
Tommy could.
Yep.
Yeah, well, a straight racetrack, right? As soon as you have to turn, you're screwed.
Oh yeah, you're screwed then.
Yeah.
We did put a blower motor into a PT Cruiser.
Oh man.
Gee whiz. How do you see out of that? In the PT Cruiser window like that big to begin with?
Yeah, it was the motor stuck out higher.
Oh yeah.
More than the roof. And
how do you see? You drive like this.
we had options when we got the
Hey, you drive like Ace Ventura with your head sticking out.
That's it.
When we got the PT Cruiser, it was fully electric. Someone done modified it to make it a fully electric car, but they didn't put the batteries in it.
That's sacrilegious.
Beverly Hillbillies, you put Granny on the seat on top of it. Looking up
Nice.
over it.
Like Mitt Romney.
So we put the Mustang, we put the motor in it. We bought a crate motor, a 351 Windsor, and then put a blower on it, and then tubbed it full roll cage, and it was just something to take to the parades and everything like that.
Yeah, the roll cage, so you can weld Granny's chair to the top.
Oh, you mentioned 351 Windsor. That was in my 72 Gran Torino Sport. Oh. That was a humdinger.
That's what I got, a 351 Modify in my truck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Is it Cleveland or Windsor? It's you said modified.
Windsor.
Windsor. Okay. All right. Right on.
Yeah.
Many a day tracking the problems in that engine.
Oh yeah. My favorite engine I've had was my 460 and my 78.
Really?
I loved the 460. It had so much power, but it scared the hell out of me because one time I hit the throttle and the cable got stuck, so it full throttle.
No way. Just opened up.
Yeah, and I was on the road and we just did donuts. I reached down and grabbed the pedal. I knew if I didn't just keep going in circles, I was going to hit something.
I'm surprised you didn't twist the frame.
Oh yeah.
Me likey torque.
Oh yeah.
The only talking I like.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I'm going to get out of here. The dogs are looking at me.
Yeah, we'll call tonight.
Yeah.
Now that is, Tommy, one of the things that the dogs have, they're still a little spastic, and the two shepherds sometimes want to go too far. But here's a major difference between living here and back in the suburbs. I don't have to say anything. They look at me when I put my boots on. They're wondering, what are we doing? Is he going to go check the chickens? He's going to do something in the yard. But when I grab the holster, they know we're going out.
Yeah.
Since I never walk
They're
around
smart.
here
I'm
without
telling you, they're smart.
You got dogs. I got a question because every time I look it up online, I get stupid stuff. So, my dog was normal. He was intelligent. You could talk to him. He would look at you. And it seemed like he could understand somewhat of what you were wanting him to do.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's a complete moron. When we got him, he was 2. Now he's like 5. First year and a half, he was good and smart. And now he barks at shadows. And he never did it before.
I don't know.
Well, what changed?
Did you change his food or anything? Or
no, food stayed the same. We didn't change that food. He just went from intelligent dog to complete idiot. Like he doesn't listen no more. Or anything.
Sounds like a teenager.
Yeah.
And about 5 is a teenager.
No. according to Swedish experts, some dogs do get Alzheimer's early.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Does he sleep on the bed or near the bed?
On the couch.
Okay, so he's all right. So he's allowed to go up.
Yeah,
It's-
I mean, he's about 150 pounds.
Wow.
If it is the correct word, you can have lack of stimulus. Dogs' intelligence depends on how often they're engaged in conversation and activity. If they don't get enough activity with the poor circulation, they can get early Alzheimer's.
Yeah, and you always want to work on their neuroplasticity. That's always playing with them, talking with them. Music is good.
And too much calcium in their diet builds up the.
He used to go outside and everything, but he would actually watch TV with us. Like he'd sit there and watch.
That's it, right there.
That's it.
Now he doesn't. Now he doesn't. He doesn't even notice that it's on or off.
Look, dumb box.
Okay, Tubby. We're going.
Yeah,
we're going.
All right.
So I just didn't know because when I looked it up online about him barking with shadows, it says your house is haunted. That's all I saw. So like, I
Forget. No.
All right, Channel Dad. We'll see you, buddy.
See you,
Take
man.
care.
All right, guys.
Okay.
See you.
Be
We'll
well.
do the closeout
All right.
if I can.
I'll wait for it. Yeah, I'm streaming over to Twitch as well.
Ooh.
How are the numbers there?
The only one to watch is my daughter.
Okay. Good dog.
Bye-bye. Good day, sir.
Later, dudes.
Good night, Jim Bob.
Hell, I got to go.
Peace out.
Burn in hell, New World Order. Fuck you. You, New World Order. You, Bill Gates.